Hi everyone! Welcome to another fast feminist recap of The Bachelorette. As promised, this recap includes this week's episode and the episode from what feels like 89 years ago, but was actually like 2 weeks ago. Rolled into one! Hooray! So let's start with last week's episode. This date takes place in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. Can't really roll my R's. Fun fact, I've actually been to Argentina. I almost drowned there. Very funny story. It's a long story, maybe I'll do a story time about it, but basically it involved a miscalculation and then buying a pair of parachute pants because my clothes were soaking wet. We start as usual with the casual hotel endorsement. There's Wi-Fi, there's beds, there's a roof. I've never stayed in a hotel like this before. Extremely natural. The episode starts with a one-on-one with our favorite Wells. A large meal is made out of him having not kissed her yet, which is really only weird because the show is so expedited. I mean, this is their first date, technically. I don't really count the group dates because they're more like humiliation parties. He goes for the high five and she goes for the cheek kiss, and it's just like I just want to sit in that moment forever. This is how I date. That is exactly what a date with me looks like. Then of course they get on the glass platform and they fill it with water and they ride around for a bit. And then they kiss and magical. Well, they have a conversation about the spark or passion of a relationship and whether it fades or whether it can live forever. They disagree. And so she gets rid of him there, which is really sad because everyone that's left is so boring. Then the group date happens. I don't know what they did. All I wrote was wander around, ? So I'm going to assume that that was the date plan. James Taylor has a self-esteem crisis here. He sort of struggles with not being as conventionally attractive as the other men on the date. And as a result, he starts lightly dragging Jordan for something that happened off camera that we didn't see. He sort of implied that he was entitled. Dragging other people down is like icky. And you lose a lot of goodwill that way. The other thing I wrote here is, don't get Luke, ? Man-shaped saltine cracker. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first let's talk about the 2-on-1. The second 2-on-1 in a Bachelor/Bachelorette rotation. And it is with Chase and I want to say Todd? I can't tell them apart, so I'm going to have to call them Thing 1 and Thing 2. When did Thing 2 become such an overconfident a-hole? Like, he's really, pumping himself up here. Thing 2 gets cut. And we learn his real name because he says, I'm Derek, and Derek is imperfect, which I think is beautiful. That's my new mantra when I do yoga. I'm going to be like, I'm Derek, and Derek is imperfect. We get down to the final rose, and she just can't give it out. So she asks for a second rose and gives everybody roses. Everybody gets a rose! Congratulations! So yeah, my fave got cut, and I am immediately 1,000% less invested in this show than I have ever been before. Tonight's episode, let's move on to the recent stuff. We start with another one-on-one, which is driving in a car, and Alex gets it. Congratulations, Alex. Except they're not driving, they're sitting in the back of an SUV, like they're Chris Harrison's children on a long road trip. Can you imagine being a grown-ass adult and your job is just to drive two people who are on a date in your back seat? I mean, now I get why Uber must be such a miserable job some nights. Watching them eat those Pringles and do the Pringles lips and then try and I was like, I just want to crawl up and die. I don't want to watch this anymore. God, I would way rather be on the bus. It's fancy and weird and there's impromptu singing, which was not great, but at least it wasn't Pringles lips. Then after that long, awkward drive, they go on a classic all-American date. Alex puts on a silly hat and they make out on top of a hypnotized horse before getting sent home immediately. Even though he didn't have to go home, he was still sent home. So next is a one-on-one with Jordan, and if you thought you were mortified by the other one-on-one, think again, because it only gets worse. They decide to squish grapes at a winery with their feet. Fine, okay, gimmicky, but whatever. Then they take wine glasses and dip it right into the stuff they just had their feet in like a second ago and drink it. And then I threw up all over my house. I don't know what horrible disease they're gonna get from their own feet, but like it's going to happen and I'm gonna have to watch it next week and I don't wanna, oh God. The highlight of this episode, the most relatable part for me, was the group date, where basically the premise of the date was quietly eating junk food in a hotel room, which is something I do when I travel all the time. #relatable. So they play Truth or Dare and Robbie is dared to take all of his clothes off, except for his underwear, and run down the hotel hallway. And this quote is, "My grandma is gonna hate to see this." But like, wasn't he a swimmer? Did you compete in a nun's habit? Like, James is also on this group date and he starts dragging Robbie, which is really unattractive. I feel like my goodwill for James is like exponentially decreasing because he's just like railing on the other contestants so much. I was told that Luke also has a date this episode. I did not really watch it. I spent most of that portion of the episode watching vines of puppies with the hiccups, and that's because Luke is so boring. I don't understand what the appeal is with Luke. Do you guys like Luke? Can you explain it to me? Because I just don't get it. Finally, we get to the rose ceremony of the evening, and James goes home. He has dragged so much that he has actually dragged himself under a bus, and so he leaves. And so our final four for hometowns next week are Luke, Chase, Robbie, and Jordan, which I am calling #BlandSquad. If you like this video, click subscribe and make it a win every single week. You can also find me on social media down below. And there's another video in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen if you would like to watch another video right this second. I will see you guys next time. Till then, #BlandSquad for life.